Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you guys from Seth the Programmer. Sorry, one second, just let me adjust my mic. Okay, there we go. So another video from Seth the Programmer, this one talking about Naruto versus Sasuke, the honest truth. Now, according to the description in the video, he's going to be going over the Naruto and Sasuke, the versions of them that were in the final valley when they fought at the end of part 2 of Naruto, and just the ending of the Naruto manga in general, and talking about who exactly was the strongest or who would win an all-out fight. Now, I'm really curious to see where he goes with this video, because it's interesting, because one thing that I have noticed, and also, sorry, real quick, if you can hear something outside, it's because I've got the window open just to let some air in. It's kind of getting stuffy in here, so just if you hear something in the background, that's what it is. So just apologizing for that from now on. Okay, so back to the actual topic. One thing that I have noticed when it comes to people who talk about the Naruto and Sasuke at the end, who would win and all of that, I feel like a lot of people usually either downplay what these characters could do at the time, or they usually miss some context that Kishimoto added into the fight when it comes to their fight at the end, and they use it to basically justify whatever answer that they have, whether it's Sasuke would win or Naruto would win, and so on and so forth. And I just, you know what? I feel like since Seth the Programmer is known for being a power scaler, I think this is more so going to be from a power scaling perspective, ignoring the narrative perspective of it and just focusing on pure power scaling. And if we were to see an objective fight between the two, who exactly would come out on top? Now, I have some thoughts, but I'm curious to hear what he would say about this. So let's just go ahead and watch the video, and I'm not going to waste any more of your time.
Hello everyone, it is your host, Seth the Programmer.
Okay, so it seems like there's going to be some anime clips now. I'm gonna hesitate on pausing as much, because people in the comments have talked about how they don't like it whenever I pause every now and then. And now, I get it, guys. I don't like it either. But listen, Toei or TV Tokyo is insane when it comes to copyright. I mean, they will ding you if you even show so much as show even like 5 seconds of a clip from any anime, even if you're talking over it or if the person in the video is talking over it. So technically it falls under commentary and not trying to be a substitute for the original. Again, it's, even though it's completely within fair use, they will just completely block the video. Now, again, I've said this in a previous video, I don't mind if they claim the video, as in, any ad revenue generated by this video goes straight to TV Tokyo. That's fine, I don't have a problem with that. But my problem is that they don't just claim the video, they also just outright block the video. So that's why I do the whole pausing thing every now and then, in order to keep it from being, or at least in their eyes, a substitute for the original, even though it's clearly not. So just to let you know from now on. But I am going to not pause as much in this video, and hopefully in any video moving forward. So just to let you know that from the beginning.
Today we're talking about something a little bit more basic. However, I have seen some people throughout the community, especially like on my friends' videos, like say like Clyde the Weeaboo.
Okay, let's just pause for a bit. Give it some time, and we should be okay now.
Talk about, say, Sasuke slaps Naruto, or they have certain misconceptions about how the final
Just a little bit, and okay.
battle in Shippuden kind of went down, and this will be a short and brief video to kind of just solve it for the community. It's one of those videos that will be on YouTube that will always be there to answer the question. So I feel like it is important to kind of talk about, kind of like the planetary Naruto video, which I do suggest. And as always, if you have never
By the way, we can watch this if you want me to.
Seen my channel, or you've been watching for a while, maybe you come back to my channel, please consider subscribing. I always do Naruto content, and I have a lot of big projects planned for the future. Throughout the story of Naruto, we've seen the rivalry of Naruto and Sasuke develop into some godly proportions nobody was really anticipating at first.
Gotta lower
However,
I have to lower the audio, because yeah, they don't just ding you for footage, but they'll definitely get you for audio. So, which to me, again, is always a little bit confusing, because the actual video is up and it seems to be fine, and yet for some reason my video reacting to it gets blocked because somehow I'm trying to replace the original. I just, again, the whole copyright thing is so fucking broken, it's insane. It's not even funny anymore.
Rivalry has numerous
I mean, it
stages
was never
of both
funny, if I'm being
Naruto and
honest.
Sasuke surpassing each other from time to time. This rivalry seems to reach its peak during the end of the war as they both reach the conclusion of their seemingly fatalistic final clash as Indra and Ashura's reincarnations, in which it was somewhat apparent that Naruto was blatantly superior in terms of power, and in fact, it was almost like Naruto was a hard counter to Sasuke and his abilities. Naruto hit harder, had danger perception.
Well, the thing is, and again, this is, for me personally, this is what I think a lot of people miss when it comes to, versus battles in the Naruto universe. Is that a lot of people seem to forget that in this universe, it doesn't matter whether someone has, let's say, a stronger power, or let's say higher chakra reserves, or can hit harder than someone. The thing is that usually doesn't end up being a factor when it comes to a fight. Usually it's the person who has the better strategy ends up winning most of the time. I mean, remember, we're talking about a universe where Konohamaru, who was like fucking, what was he, like 10, 12? Like 10 years old? And he was able to destroy one of the Paths of Pain, who you could say was a hell of a lot stronger, easily, than Konohamaru, and yet Konohamaru was able to take him out, and because he had a good strategy. And to me, it's like, I feel like that's something that a lot of people forget when it comes to, especially pitting these two against each other, which is like, okay, yes, I think we all know that Naruto has the higher chakra reserves and has more, because of Kurama, let's say he has more destructive capability because of, the Biju and what they can do. I mean, okay, yeah, that's true, but again, that usually isn't a factor when it comes to how someone would perform in a fight, because okay, Naruto has all of these has all of this power, but if he's going up against a person who's, let's say, a smarter fighter, then the odds are the smarter fighter is going to come out on top. And I think, again, that's what a lot of people miss when it comes to pitting battles against each other. Is usually they'll usually see it the same way as Dragon Ball, where in Dragon Ball it's basically become a whole thing of, oh, this person has more ki, or yeah, this person, no, it's just that's it. This person has more ki, so obviously this other person would win, obviously. But, and again, that didn't used to be the case when it comes to Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball used to have really smart writing. Like Toriyama was, I feel like a lot of people don't give him enough credit for this, but Toriyama was really smart when it comes to planning out his fights in Dragon Ball, especially when it started becoming more of a battle focused shonen as opposed to more of a comedic focused shonen. Is that there was actual smart writing behind each fight, and later on it just sort of delved into, and not saying that there aren't fights in modern Dragon Ball that don't have like intelligent writing behind it. There are, but I feel like more often than not, it just boils down to who has the higher power level, and it's unfortunate, but that's basically what Dragon Ball has become, what it is now. And again, not to say that there isn't some smart writing behind it. There is in some cases, but it's unfortunately few and far between, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't really like about modern Dragon Ball, and it's kind of made the fights a little bit boring, in all honesty.
To avoid attacks, was immune to Amaterasu, could tank Chidori's to the face, was immune to Genjutsu, had a seemingly limitless...
I wouldn't say that Naruto was technically immune to all Genjutsu. I think that even though, yes, that is true, that because of Kurama, he would be able to, basically Kurama would wake up Naruto from a Genjutsu, but, and I think Sasuke knows that, especially considering what happened with Killer Bee. But imagine this, even if Sasuke knows that, he would place Naruto under Genjutsu, and he would know that he would have like a split second before Kurama wakes him up from the Genjutsu, and he would take that opportunity to deal some major damage, especially when you're a character that can move especially quickly, like Sasuke. Like both of them could at the end of the series. I mean, both of them became pretty damn quick by the end of the series, especially with their Six Paths power-ups.
Pool of stamina, and could even create thousands of clones that rivaled himself in strength. It was so bad that even though Sasuke was trying to literally murder Naruto with all his might, Naruto just played defense and tried to befriend Sasuke and was still holding him off and even stalemating him. Sasuke had to resort to absorbing all the chakra of the tailed beast, even stealing Naruto's own chakra just to tie with him, and even got worried and desperate to absorb more Bijou chakra when it was them 1v1 again. It could then even still be implied that Naruto wasn't trying to kill him, so how?
Not necessarily. Okay, again, I've talked about this before, but the whole thing of Naruto not trying to kill him is apparently a big indicator as to the fact that Naruto is obviously, like, yeah, that's pretty much proof. I mean, what else do you need? Well, no, not necessarily. Just because Naruto wasn't trying to kill him doesn't mean he wasn't trying. He was still trying. He was putting actual effort into the fight. I mean, hell, even Naruto realized that, hold on a minute. Again, when Sasuke absorbed the chakra of the tailed beast, like, Naruto knew at that moment, it's like, yeah, even as strong as I am now, I won't be able to do anything against this guy, which is why he had to resort to absorbing all of that chakra from, the earth, absorb all of that nature energy. Now, granted, this was in the anime only, and it didn't happen in the manga, which is why, to me, I'm not really a big fan of how the fight was done in the manga, because a lot of it doesn't really, especially that in and of itself, doesn't really make a lot of sense. Because, and I've talked about this before, where you had Sasuke absorb chakra from the tailed beast, a lot of chakra from the tailed beast, and then he was about to fire Indra's arrow, and yet Naruto, who only has like a small portion of each of the tailed beast's chakra and only one half of Kurama, and Sasuke had the other half, and he absorbed chakra from him, and yet somehow he was still able to stalemate Naruto. Like, that to me was a bit of poor writing on Kishimoto's part. This to me is one of the reasons why I do feel like the anime did do it better, did do the fight a lot better than even the manga did. Although I can't help but wonder if maybe Kishimoto was sort of kind of rushing things, and he wasn't really putting as much thought into the fight as he did their first fight at the end of part one. And yeah, again, I don't think we'll ever know unless we actually ask Kishimoto himself. Because again, I haven't seen any interviews of him where he talked about the fight at the end, other than him saying that he was able to end the series the way he wanted to, which is awesome because most mangaka unfortunately don't get that. But I can't help but feel like maybe he was sort of rushing, because if you look at read the fight in the manga, it's actually over pretty quick. Like, you do feel like he was kind of trying to get it done with as quickly as possible, which, I mean, it's a different series it's a different situation than what Kubo was in, where he was basically told by Shonen Jump is like, or actually no, maybe I'm misremembering it, but I think I remember reading that he was sort of told, like, okay, you've only got a select few of chapters left by Shueisha. But I also know that the reason why he had rushed through a lot of things was because of his declining health, and he, couldn't tell the story the way he wanted to tell it because he had to rush through a lot of things. So, I don't know. You know what? Why don't you guys let me know about it in the comments what happened exactly with Kubo and Bleach? I can't remember if it was Shueisha basically telling him that he only had a select few number of chapters left, or if it really is it was his own decision to rush it because of his declining health, and he just wanted to finish it as quickly as possible so he could focus on getting better. Just let me know about it in the comment as to which of the things actually happened.
How did this happen? Even back from the 5 Kage Summit, Naruto sensed something different about himself and Sasuke after he became a sage. He sensed that he sensed that Indra needed more than just raw power to stop this for good. That overpowering him might not be the end of their philosophical conflict. He would just reincarnate and the problem wouldn't end. Many people get this confused with Naruto saying Sasuke is stronger than him. However, Naruto and Hagoromo clarify later on that this is not what Naruto meant at all. Throughout his years in Shippuden, Naruto gradually began to understand Sasuke more and more, and their final battle was more so Sasuke and Naruto comparing their struggles and how much Naruto really understood Sasuke. For Naruto, it wasn't really about slamming his power level against Sasuke, and never was since the Kage Summit, as pain changed Naruto's perspective entirely, to the point that Kishimoto himself stated that Naruto would need to go through an entire war to even
Hold on, I couldn't come up with an answer, so I couldn't. Looking back at the Naruto series, the part he described as painful was the pain story arc. Together with Naruto, Kishimoto himself faces themes of hatred and revenge. Sasuke had his family killed, so he has revenge in his heart, but Naruto didn't have that experience. There's nothing that someone not in the same position can say that's convincing. The things Naruto said just didn't ring true to Sasuke, but later when Naruto lost Jiraiya, a father-like figure to him, he understood Sasuke's position for the first time. From there, what would Naruto do? He had to go on experiencing what hatred is for the first time. I kind of knew I had stepped into a difficult place, and my editor said to me that maybe I shouldn't dig too deep into that. But I wondered if I just created a story about him going after and beating his hated opponent, what would kids think of that? I wanted to do it right. But I couldn't come up with an answer, so I couldn't sleep. Even when I could get to sleep, I'd snap awake with my shirt soaked with sweat, damn. Or I'd toss and turn, it was exhausting. In his suffering, Kishimoto arrived at the solution that I can't solve this. It wasn't a problem that could be solved easily because I was suffering. It's natural that the character suffers too. In the end, Naruto talked it out and decided to forgive his opponent, so Sasuke is a character who can't forgive, and Naruto is one who can. Once it's decided that the characters are that way, it must move forward in that direction, even if you know that it'll be painful going in that direction. As a writer, you can't just do whatever you want. Well, I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I mean, yeah, I do think some writers are beholden to some things like, okay, you ended up creating the character, you know how this character would act, and you have to follow through on that. You can't just have the characters living happily ever after together, even though you know that that's not what would realistically happen with these characters based on how you wrote them. So yeah, I do think that the writer is beholden to certain things, but at the same time, you are the writer, and what you say goes. So again, I just think that's an interesting discussion to have. If you try to force things, readers will know, yes, that is true, and I honestly really wish more writers would know this. After the pain arc ended, I thought, now I can sleep. To Kishimoto, Shonen Jump is like a stream. I think Shonen Jump is a reflection of the people of the era. It's always been like that, like a continuous stream. When I was a kid, there was Kinnikuman, Dragon Ball, Fist of the North Star, then One Piece came out. There were all these different creations, but together they formed one huge stream. I was so happy to become a part of that. Well, I say it's a stream, but it's more like a raging torrent or like a river of acid. When asked if he wanted to return to that torrent, yes was his immediate answer. I had forgotten the deadlight hell of weekly series. I must be stupid or something. Rather than memories of how difficult it was, I thought about things I wanted to create and the curiosity of doing it again. See, that's okay. I love that Kishimoto said this because I think this is something that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to people who are creative. You know, like for example, let's take Toriyama for example. I'm willing to bet a lot of people thought, oh, and this is apparently an interview about Boruto, Naruto, because I see Naruto Next Generations because that's obviously Boruto, and it was 2018 when Boruto was starting to come out. I think a lot of people tend to forget is that, you know, when it comes to people who are creative, they just can't shut that thing off. Yes, a certain story may end, but they want to start another one because again, they are creative people at heart. They can't stop that. That it's just who they are, even if it's something that causes them. See, this is how you know they truly love this. Is he even said it himself? Like, again, if you look up the life of a mangaka, dude, it is insane. Just to give you an example, there's a Twitter handle, or there's a Twitter handle. There's a Twitter account called Organic Dinosaur, and go follow her on Twitter. And granted, she'll have to give you permission first, and if she does, please appreciate it, because you guys know how people on Twitter are. They tend to get pretty insane. So she has a post on her account that shows you the schedule of a typical mangaka, and dude, once you look at it, you realize just how insane it is, and why anyone would put themselves through this. But when you hear this, you understand why. It's because they love this. They wouldn't put themselves through this if they didn't love it. And I feel like that's something a lot of people, especially today, forget about, is that, you know, you can't just shut it off. At the end of the day, it is who you are. Like, you are a creative person. You love to create things, whether it's stories and it's not even just storytellers, whether it's painters, sculptors, anything that involves actually making something. That is who you are at your heart, and that's not something you can just shut off. Even if you know that going into this, you're going to have a life of hell, you're going to have a life of rejection where people are just constantly telling you, no, you're not good enough, you can't do this. All of that, you just let it wash over you, because this is who you are, this is what you love. You won't let anyone or anything stop you from doing this. It's just who you are at your heart. And I feel like that's something that, you know, I've seen a lot of people on the internet who just become so cynical. And again, I understand why, because look, you see what's going on outside in the world, and it's even started to infiltrate our entertainment system, and it's just made so many people cynical that they've forgotten certain things. And one of the things that I feel like they've forgotten is, with creative people, they want to make something, even if, let's say let's say your IP was taken by someone else, and they basically bastardized it, and they think that, okay, well, you're never going to want to go back to this, because why would you? Well, I mean, because that's who they are. Again, this is what they created. If they have any chance to be an influence on that thing still, even if they don't own it anymore, you're still going to want to go back to it. You're still going to want to go back to it, because again, that's what you created. That's your creation. Even if it's owned by someone else now, it's still yours. You created it, and you want to be involved in it. That's not something that you can just shut off. And I feel like so many people have forgotten about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that rant. Just let's go back to the video. Sorry about that again.
Understand Nagato, and let alone Sasuke. Sasuke then gets a little insecure about this confrontation and goes on to obtain the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan by transplanting his brother Itachi's eyes into himself. And this gives Sasuke a very substantial power-up, to the point that Sasuke is relevant against the Ten Tails in Rinnegan Jubito.
The thing about the EMS, and I just want to discuss this briefly. Don't worry, I won't go on another rant. Don't worry about that. The thing about EMS Sasuke is that one thing that I did think was kind of disappointing is that we never really got like a good introduction to what Sasuke could actually do. We got to see a little bit of that when he woke up and he removed those band-aids, and you saw the design of the EMS for the first time, and you saw what it could sort of do in the anime. Granted, that was an anime-only scene. And again, it's just it does kind of suck, because when it comes to let's look at Naruto with KCM and KCM2, we got to see a pretty good introduction to what he could do in that form. But I feel like we didn't really get the same with Sasuke, which does kind of suck, because for me, I feel like a good opportunity would have been, because remember in the war when Naruto said that he had been fighting for so long, he's basically out of chakra, and then Kurama himself even said, sorry, but I'm gonna need some time to get my chakra back. I feel like that, and that's pretty much when, if you remember, that's when Sasuke made his appearance on the battlefield. I feel like that would have been a perfect opportunity to show what the EMS could actually do, and how Sasuke's become pretty proficient at using it. And it's just, I just feel like that was such a missed opportunity. Now, not that I don't like what Kishimoto sort of did, because he had that sort of reunion with Team 7, but I feel like that could have been saved for a little bit later on, if maybe like he had Naruto and Sakura sort of in the background, and Sakura's focusing on healing Naruto, and Naruto's focusing, of course, on getting better, and both of them watch and see just how far Sasuke's progressed when it comes to not just with his abilities with the Sharingan, but just him as a shinobi, and how insane he's become, not mentally, but again in terms of battle. I think they already have an idea when it comes to how insane he is mentally. And I just feel like that was such a missed opportunity. Again, I don't know if you guys agree with me on that. Let me know in the comments.
On Jubito, whereas before he was more so a match and superior to the Raikage. And Naruto obtains a power-up by...
So sorry, just go back a second. But I remember someone in the comments asking me, why was Sasuke faster than the Raikage? This is why. Just watch this again.
It's more so a match and superior
he was
to
able
the
to
Raikage. And Naruto
dodge the Raikage's attack, who was in lightning chakra mode, which does make you exponentially faster. Now, how faster, we don't know, but Sasuke was still faster.
Obtains a power-up by learning to harness the chakra of the Nine Tails. However, he still doesn't have mastery over it, and would thus have to have many more titanic struggles than Sasuke to be a rival to Obito and truly obtain his Nine Tails powers. However, Naruto did more than just obtain the Nine Tails powers. He mastered it and harnessed it to the point that it amplified its abilities beyond its norm. Having going through so many more intense and grueling fights than Sasuke, and having to evolve it so much more, it makes sense that Naruto would gradually begin to surpass Sasuke. He even mastered Sage Mode even further and gained the support and chakras of all the tailed beasts as well. Naruto actually grew so powerful that it made Sasuke insecure and begin to shake in anger chakra, even while a lot of chakra was being used to help others, including Sasuke himself. This forced Sasuke to resort to using Jugo to even fight next to Naruto. So from this point,
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, again, I don't think that it's him thinking that he could fight next to Naruto. I think it's because, remember, they figured out that Sage Chakra is the only thing that can affect Ten Tails Jubito, which is why he asked which is why he asked Jugo to come with him so he could spread his curse mark energy over the Susanoo, so he would actually be effective against Obito. Because otherwise, as powerful as Sasuke is, he wouldn't be able to actually affect him. So again, I feel like, again, that's why he did this, not because he thought it was the only way he could stand next to him.
Sasuke was already resorting to needing outside help to even fight alongside a nerfed Naruto as somewhat of an equal.
I wouldn't say that Naruto was nerfed. I mean, he was pretty damn strong. In fact, I think that's one of the things that a lot of people had a problem with when it comes to the war arc, is it seems like these guys have been fighting for God knows how long, and they never seem to run out of chakra. So, no, I don't know if I would say Naruto was nerfed.
Isn't even to bring up the fact that this might be purely hacks and speed related only in terms of relativity, and that Sage Naruto.
Okay, oh boy. So, this part still bothers me at this point, because it's like, the thing is, for so many times, characters have been pointing out that Sasuke as a character is someone who has this insanely analytical brain and someone who could figure things out almost instantly. And yet you're telling me that he wasn't able to figure out that natural energy enhanced attacks could affect the Ten Tails Jinchuriki? Like, that to me just seemed a little bit odd. And to me, something that's even, again, you could say this was an inconsistency on Kishimoto's part, because something that happens after this is, you know, when Naruto points out that I was right, natural energy does work against him, and then Sasuke asks, wait, what the hell is the sage? What the hell is the sage jutsu? And it's like, what, dude? Did you forget you went up against someone who was using sage jutsu, and all the time you spent with Kishimoto, you never once learned what sage arts is? Again, that's just. Again, this is why I hate the war arc, because there are so many things about it that just don't make sense.
Naruto even thought the QB Amp could put a dent into Obito with the Rasengan, and could even take a fire style attack from Madara without even any protection. Though I would go on to say that EMS Sasuke, by comparing to QB Chakra mode plus the Sage mode, would be more relative to that than Sage Naruto. It's just an example. Naruto and Sasuke then get doo-dooed on by a live Madara, and then comes Hagoromo to save the day. And for all intents and purposes, you could say that the 6 paths amp they got was so astronomical of an increase that the differences between Sasuke and Naruto's bases would be almost barely mattering percentage-wise, to the point where Naruto goes from being able to output enough jewels to destroy numerous continents with Killer Bee, and being able to output planetary levels of energy versus Obito using the data books and some of Obito's own feats that scale around 10 to the 32 joules, to contesting beings that are going to destroy entire time-space continuums with stars and numerous celestial bodies in them. Even lowballing and saying that the realm bust with the expansive truth-seeking orbs are only large planet level would still make Naruto and Sasuke's previous levels pretty abysmal, although they are still there. Also, to anybody curious about the planet level calcs and all of that, don't worry about debating it or contesting it on this video. If you want to learn more about that, like I said, I do have a video going into full detail, full big brain detail on why they are planet level and beyond, and that will be in the description. Sasuke was then revived by Kabuto and Naruto by 6 Paths Obito, and while this may have slightly amped them, it wouldn't be much of anything, as Kabuto didn't even give Sasuke that much chakra, as Kabuto wasn't even tired or out of his senjutsu, and Obito was still wielding his truth-seeking staff and was able to instantly Kamui Sakura out of the Kamui realm when Madara appeared. This could imply even if Naruto got a bit of Obito's 6 Paths chakra, it'd be a way more massive amp than Sasuke. However, there's no evidence he really gave him anything but the 9 tails, other than Madara stating that it must have been Obito's fault that he was able to kick away the truth-seeking orb, although this doesn't inherently have to be true, as we know Naruto got 6 paths to be able to do that from Hagoromo. Hagoromo. Although it is pretty interesting that Madara thinks that Obito could have given Naruto enough power to kick away his True-Seeking Orb. So from here, we have Naruto with the chakra of all the tailed beasts being utilized, and 6 Paths Senjutsu versus Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke with a 6 Paths Rinnegan. Now, while it can be assumed Hagoromo gave an equal amount of his chakra to Naruto and Sasuke, there are still disparities between their power-ups. The 6 Paths
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part. What did he say?
chakra to Naruto and Sasuke, there are still disparities between their power versus Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan Sasuke with a 6 Paths Rinnegan. Now, while it can be assumed Hagoromo gave an equal amount of his chakra to Naruto and Sasuke, there are still disparities between...
Didn't he? I mean, he said, like, the yin half of his chakra went to Sasuke, the yang half went to Naruto, so... I don't know. I mean, that just seems a... I thought it was kind of implied. I'm confused.
Between their power-ups. The 6 Paths Senjutsu form in the data book is mainly described as subconscious mastery and universal awareness. Now, not universal as in understanding the whole universe, just universal as in can understand most things. Whereas with the Rinnegan, it's constantly described as being naive, incomplete, and not being able to use its full abilities. At least in the words of Kurama and even Sasuke himself. This is why Naruto, despite losing most of his True-Seeking Orbs and using a ton more
he pretty much lost them.
In combating Kaguya, was rivaling a now more masterful and matured Rinnegan Sasuke. Naruto, along with 6 Paths, also gained the ability to use the chakra of every Bijou rather than just forming a vague bond with them, and this is why he's referred to as the...
Not that he can use his newly awakened Rinnegan to absorb chakra while putting out his own. See, again, that's... Oh, yeah. See, that to me is what bothers me. It's like you say something like this, but you keep showing me something else. It's like, so you're telling me that the guy who's mastered it to the point where he can create 9 Chibaku Tenseis like it's nothing and use it to create a Genjutsu powerful enough to put all 9 of the tailed beasts under his Genjutsu like it's nothing, can't put out a jutsu while absorbing his... It's... Again, there's so many things about the war arc that I can't stand.
The Jinchuriki of all the Bijou by Sasuke and Hagoromo, as well as being able to fly, regenerate, recharge all of...
Well, actually, sorry, he said something that I kind of want to talk about for a second.
Most of his True-Seeking Orbs and using a ton more chakra in combating Kaguya, was rivaling a now more...
Wait, so is he saying that Naruto was using a lot of chakra combating Kaguya, what, like Sasuke wasn't? Because he was using it just as much as Naruto, to the point where he even said that he needs to wait for his Rinnegan to basically go back to full power. I don't understand the statement. Saying that, again, not that what he said isn't true about Naruto, that he did use a lot of chakra, but he's saying that almost as if Sasuke wasn't. I don't know. Again, I'm confused.
Masterful and matured Rinnegan Sasuke. Naruto, along with...
Well, I mean, technically not really masterful, because he even...
6 Paths also gained the ability to use the chakra of every Bijou rather...
Because, again, I don't know if that masterful thing and mature is technically true, because, I mean, it's even stated right here by Kurama that, you know, he can't do this thing where if he really mastered it, then he would have been able to use it no problem. So, I don't know. To me, it's like he's kind of contradicting himself by putting this panel on screen.
And just forming a vague bond with them, and this is why he's referred to as the Jinchuriki of all the Bijou by Sasuke and Hagoromo, as well as being able to fly, regenerate.
See, he used all of his True-Seeking Orbs right here, even though there's an inconsistency in the anime where later on where Naruto and Sasuke have their sort of discussion in that mind realm that they usually go to. Where you know, they have their discussions. You see this Truth-Seeking Orbs behind Naruto. That was mostly a mistake by the anime, because these were his last Truth-Seeking Orbs, and they pretty much are the last time. This is pretty much the last time you see Naruto with Truth-Seeking Orbs. Although, actually, no, now that I remember, it was in the manga too, so that was actually on both Kishimoto and the anime, so... It's okay,
all of
mistakes
his
happen.
chakra whenever Kurama charges it for him, and use his True-Seeking Orbs that surpasses Bijou Damas or Bijou Bombs in power and casual attacks whenever he wants. He's even shown using these even in normal strikes versus Kaguya, and he's able to actually counteract her with them. Speaking of the Jinchuriki of all the beasts, has one of these abilities, the Boil release from the Five Tails, which gives Naruto enough power to even blatantly overpower Kaguya, the same Kaguya that was obliterating Sasuke's Susanoo and even rivaling Naruto plus his Truth-Seeking orbs being punched around, meaning at almost any moment Naruto could have absolutely annihilated Sasuke without even using his own Kurama avatar if he was
again,
at
I
full
don't
power
know.
or
I don't know.
bloodlusted. Even with Sasuke's only real notable hacks, he teleports a Chidori into Naruto's face, but it's not even powerful enough to pierce his skin. In the final clash, after Sasuke absorbs a ton of chakra from the Bijou and Naruto absorbs all of the chakra he can find in nature, you could still make arguments that Naruto could have amplified himself with Boil release, or that his tailed beast Rasen Shuriken would have been much more powerful if it utilized his original set of 9 Truth-Seeking orbs rather than just 3. So
Well, again, he couldn't have even if he wanted to, because the Truth-Seeking orbs aren't. And again, I never understood why this was the case, but apparently he only had a limited amount of Truth-Seeking orbs to where he only had a little bit, so he couldn't have used it even if he wanted to.
you could imply that it almost might have used 3 times the Truth-Seeking orbs, which would have been a substantial difference. In conclusion, Naruto should be superior to Sasuke throughout the entire war, really. He only rivals Naruto when Naruto is extremely fatigued after having to fight Obito and Madara by himself, and then also protect the whole Shinobi Alliance from the Ten Tails. And as adults, you could argue they are equal in power, maybe using some Boruto guides. However, Naruto still hard counters all of Sasuke's abilities, as I described earlier, so even if they are equal as Shinobi, maybe versus other people, Naruto still counters all of Sasuke's hardest hitting attacks, unless Sasuke has something up his sleeve. And this, of course, doesn't bring into the fact that, of course, Naruto still has that super 6 paths nature Rasen Shuriken, and Sasuke
Does he? I mean,
doesn't have that Ten Tails ability, so unless Sasuke has something crazy, he's not doing anything. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said,
the thing is, and that's, again, to me, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but to me, that's honestly the thing that's kind of
nature
that's kind of disappointing about the Boruto era, is that we never saw Naruto and Sasuke really advance when it comes to their techniques. We never really saw them sort of taking their abilities and using them in like unique ways, to where, like, okay, let's say for example, like Sasuke knows he doesn't have access to the 10-tailed beast's or not 10, the 9-tailed beast's chakra. You know, maybe he could find a way to create a jutsu to be able to basically output the same amount of damage that Indra's arrow could. I mean, we're talking about the guy who created Kirin, which is an S-class lightning jutsu, which is insane. And yet you're telling me a guy who is that talented when it comes to basically being a shinobi, you're telling me he couldn't figure something out utilizing the power of the Rinnegan and the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan at the same time? It's like, again, I don't know. That to me just, it's hard for me to believe. And it's one of the things that I do kind of appreciate about the Storm games, because they do kind of show you, and I've said this before in a previous video, they do kind of show you what these characters, or specifically Sasuke, what he could do in his adult form with all of the with access to all of the abilities afforded by the Rinnegan and the Mangekyo Sharingan combined, can make Sasuke a very dangerous opponent. And I don't know if I buy the whole Naruto having technically hard counters to all of Sasuke, because again, that's one of the problems when it comes to the Boruto series. We never see Sasuke fully utilize the abilities that he had. And well, considering what happens, and if you're watching this by now, the anime episode would have already been released, so you already know what happens, so it's not technically a spoiler. Now we never could see him fully utilize it, because they chose to take it away from him for some fucking reason, which was so goddamn stupid. Anyway, I don't know, maybe you guys have your own opinions on this, which I always love hearing. Let me know about it in the comments. Alright, let's go ahead and finish this video.
Not doing anything. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, I just wanted this to be one of those videos you can go to on YouTube if you ever wanted to know this basic question and you don't watch many of my videos to begin with, or you can just show it to people that are curious or kind of debating about it. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and like I said, if you're interested, please check out, the Planetary Naruto video, or Naruto versus all of the Hokage. That one's doing pretty well right now. So other than that, till next time.
Okay, so this is going to include dialogue from the actual show, which of course I can't have. So there you go. Okay, so that's the video. Now again, I feel like I've said everything I wanted to say during the video. Let me know what you guys think, as always, in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share, subscribe. You know what to do when it comes to YouTube. You don't need me to tell you that. So hope to see you for the next video. Bye for now.